knew that there was a deficiency in the way we do cardiovascular therapy. And the big deficiency was we're not training proper gait before we're taking someone through cardiovascular therapy. All right? So I'm putting them on a treadmill, I'm even putting them on a bike, I'm putting them on whatever, and I'm taking them through a cardiovascular program, okay? What if there's something wrong structurally or dynamically with the way this person moves? And we got to imagine it's going to affect heart function, right? And if I'm testing heart function, I'm testing blood pressure, I'm testing heart rate, okay, and there's a restriction, all right? It's like if I were to climb on your back, all right, and have you go through a stress test. Right. Do you think the numbers would be the same if I wasn't on your back? Okay? So I knew that there was a really important factor in that, and what we needed to create was a way to train proper gait mechanics. Okay. All right? So really important, we need to basically home in on the different phases of gait and make sure that we're loading through those phases, make sure the restrictions are not there, because we know that if structurally my body's working properly, functionally all the systems work better. Right. All right? There wasn't a device on the market that did this. All right? There was, watching someone walk and saying if you put more load here, more, you know how hard that is? It's almost impossible, right? So I thought if we could create a device that could take you through those phases of gait and train you pattern loading, release the restrictions, because if I'm loading distribution through my feet properly, I'm creating mobility, all right? If I don't load correctly, if I'm on the outside of my foot, my ankle creases up. If I load properly, my ankle's free to move, okay? But as soon as I change that load pattern, everything locks, because everything knows it's offline. And then now it has to balance, and if we balance, we're locking, we're constantly locking. And I know that the body is nothing but moving atoms, so we're always in motion. So how do we stabilize everything in motion during a gait cycle? We've got to know that I'm loading correctly through each phase of that gait. But before we start to walk, we got to make sure that we can statically stand properly and we're loading from a standstill position. Don't start to walk unless you can stabilize the way you need to and distribute weight properly. So that's where the different tiers come into play. So we have basically 20 degrees at the lowest tier, which is the minimal amount of pressure that you need in the foot, and that creates a 60-40. So a 60-40 relationship, rear foot to front foot. With that, you're lining up enough that your mobility is there for the rest of your joints to move. They've shown that by having a 60-40 relationship, there's an 86% decrease in falls.
86.
86.
Just by being able to get to 20.
Tested. Yes.
Unreal.
A gait analysis by Curie study.
So we put this here, line up over the top of it.
And so this would be, so what I would want you to do first before you went single leg. Single leg's a little bit harder, okay? Right. That's single leg balance. Let's put both on, let's put it at normal, so bring your legs a little bit further apart, okay? Now come on a little bit more, you can tell when that front comes up, it means that you're not all the way on your ball of foot. And that first shoelace is typically the ball of foot. So you know that you need to line that up, all right? So now I have contact medially, I have it laterally, and I have it heel. Right now I'm forcing your load 60-40, okay, because of the angle. Forget dorsiflexion, forget ankle mobility, forget all those things. Right. I want you to load into that heel, and that's why I put you at an angle like I do. Right. Because we don't walk around like this, right?
No, that's
right? Yeah, that's the distribution of pressure, which would line up your body, and that would be proper posture. Okay? And if you're aligned right now in balance and you're under proper pressure, okay, when you go to move, you got to sustain that level of pressure. Now, optimally is the next. So this next here is 35 degrees. That decreases the risk of injury, decreases the stress to the whole body, decreases why you would have a lower back pain, decreases all those different stresses through your body, being able to sustain weight pressure at a 75-25 split.
So
so again, your shoelace is right at that tier, okay? Right in that tier, yep. And then stand up nice and straight for me. I know, right? I know, right? This automatically, I've just tested you, okay? Yeah. This basically gives me an objective test. I don't need to look at numbers. I know that you're not loading correctly. Yeah. Okay? So you're not at a 70, yeah.
And
So
you've
you're
been traveling
instantly
like a while, man.
compensated. You instantly compensated your ankle. No offense, listen, I've tested Major League Baseball
No,
players,
take it.
top football players, and they all do the same thing when they get into that load pattern because we're taught so much to go into the ball of our feet.
Yeah. I mean, that's been, you know,
Because ideally,
I can't.
that's your load.
Right. I mean, I don't have
And
enough
you see
dorsal
the tension in your back right now?
and my calves.
Yep, you got it.
I mean, there's no. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have the ability to force the load pattern. You don't have the ability to get into that position and just feel totally free in that position. You know? Now, if I take my boots off, I have it too. There is a little heel, so I'm cheating a little bit.
Right.
But most times, and the way I use Moflex is barefoot. I'm not asking everybody to do it that way. It's a lot harder that way, but it's more natural that way.
Okay, at one.
So yeah, normally you get around without causing stress to your knees, your back, and those types of
I
things.
can walk without fall.
Yeah, exactly.
But I load. I have
So an
a
optimal
range of motion
load-
limitation that's got me to the point where I can't load properly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do, it has everything but nothing to do the range of motion in your ankle. So most would tell you, because you lack dorsal flexion or the flexibility or the range of motion in your calf muscles.
Right.
That's why you can't get into that position, right? But that's half true. Because you're not loading into the heel properly, those muscles have frozen up. All the stretching in the world, all of the, you know, whether you're doing pails, rails, whatever the different types of stretches are, it's never going to loosen an ankle. It's never going to allow for mobility. The reason why you lack mobility in that ankle is because you're not distributing weight properly in the foot. And if you distribute weight properly in the foot, it basically creates mobility. But in practice, in sports, and everything else that we do, we jump right to the ankle. When we think about the ankle, we forget about the foot. And the loading principle in the body is we've got to make sure the load is correct so that everything else above it matches up.